Hey everyone, Kyle Hamrick here for School of Motion. We have a very special live stream for you today that I'm really excited about. School of Motion is based here in the US, and while many of our students are too, we also get a ton of people from all around the world who take our courses and who get involved in our awesome community. I wanted to bring on a few alumni from different places all around the world, and these are people who I had noticed getting themselves involved in the online motion design community in a variety of different ways. And just wanted to talk to them about their experiences, what it's like to be a motion designer, where they live, how they got into the field, and what brought them to School of Motion. I'm really excited about today's show, and I hope that you are too. So it is my pleasure to welcome Saúl, Neus, Menna, and Vishal. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
And the chat is already blowing up. Awesome. I see people from all over joining us. If you are here in the chat, let us know where you're watching from. It's kind of awesome to have this international panel and hopefully a big international viewership too. So it'd just be great to know where everyone's coming from. So I also just wanted to say right off the bat that obviously I can't expect any one person to represent an entire city or country or continent or anything like that. So these are just everyone's personal experiences. I'll probably be talking about some of my personal experiences, and I can't possibly, speak for every motion designer in the US or anything either. So, we're just people having a conversation here, and it's fine. I also wanted to just quickly say how hard it was to pick just 4 people, because our School of Motion alumni group is getting pretty big at this point. We have a couple thousand people in there from all over, and there's a lot of really talented people. So finding 4 people to talk to was tough. I'm already super excited to do more of these, so I hope I get to, because I made a big list of people that I'm excited to talk to. But you know what? I've got you 4 awesome folks here today, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I do see the chat blowing up here, so I just want to give a shout out to Brittany, Frank, and Ella, our School of Motion community team, who are going to be kind of helping wrangle that today. And if you have any questions for anyone that's here on the stream today, you can just drop them in the chat, and they will send them over my way, and I'll make sure that we try to talk about as many of them as we can. Oh, okay. I think I got all my intro stuff out of the way. So how about we take a minute and get to know each of you a little bit, kind of where you're coming from, literally and figuratively, I guess. Just a little bit about yourself, where you live, and we'll get into it. So why don't we start with you?
Okay. Well, hello, and thank you, School of Motion, for making this opportunity possible. My name is Saúl Yance. I am from Lima, Peru. It's in South America. We speak Spanish here. I'm a motion designer and also a studio partner. I studied audiovisual communications at university for 5 years, and after that I started working on this field. It's been already like 6 years. 5 of them working in my own studio, which is called Remolque Caravana Audiovisual. And that's
awesome. Neus, how about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Neus Vich. I'm from Mallorca, Spain. And I was a video editor until like 4 years ago. I discovered motion design. So I worked for production companies, startup, an ad agency, and now I recently went freelance.
Awesome. Menna.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Menna. I'm currently based in Alexandria, Egypt. I work as a motion designer at the Library of Alexandria. Basically, part of what we do is providing other departments in the library with our motion graphics services. We also produce and work on some documentaries from time to time. Sometimes we collaborate with platforms like edX and provide educational materials.
Awesome. And Vishal.
Hi guys, I'm Vishal Vergis. I'm from Kerala, India, and I've been in the industry for about 6 years. I'm a freelancer, and I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're super excited to have all of you here. So again, just thanks for doing this, and thanks for talking with us today. Good. I see that each of you we have your websites and portfolios getting dropped into the chat. So hopefully everyone checks you out, and you guys all have like 1 million followers after today too.
I highly doubt it.
Okay, so I also wanted to take a quick second here, and for any of our geographically challenged viewers, I just wanted to kind of point out that this is where everyone is coming from. So we do have a pretty wide swath of the world covered here, which is pretty cool. And also wanted to point out, especially thank you to Menna and Vishal, for whom it is actually Friday night already. So thanks for hanging out with us. Even Vishal, I know it's getting fairly late for you, so thanks a lot for.
It's our pleasure.
I also wanted to take a second, just in case there's anybody watching probably later from further into Asia or Australia or anything. Obviously the time zones don't really work there, so maybe sometime in the future we can do a show like just on that region at I don't know, the end of the day for me, which would be first thing in the morning for them. I don't know, but okay, so one of the first things I would really love to know is kind of just how each of you got into motion design. Obviously we all talked a little bit before the show, and it's sort of interesting how I don't know, similar a lot of these origin stories are, because motion design, I think no matter where you are, it's still a little bit of a weird thing that a lot of people don't even realize can be a profession yet. So why don't we do reverse order here? So Vishal, how did you get into this stuff?
Yeah, so right off the bat, right off college, I was very interested in animation. I mean, growing up, I saw a lot of Disney movies and all. But after that, one of my cousins, he has a studio. So I started going as an intern and just learning everything from him. So after about 2 years, I started on my own. And that's how I got into the whole industry. Yeah, and
cool.
Here I am right now.
Menna.
I would say it was a coincidence. After graduating from the Faculty of Fine Arts, I majored in interior design. I received a letter from the Ministry of Communications stating that students with a higher GPA could apply for a 9-month scholarship in the ITI to study a lot of subjects. One of them was multimedia. And it sounded interesting. And during those 9 months, I was introduced to a lot of things, including Photoshop, After Effects, 3D Max. I used to work with 3D Max in college, but it was more of architectural things. Mm-hmm. And I really liked it. And I decided, okay, this is what I want to do.
Cool. Neus.
So in my case, I studied audiovisual communication as Saúl. But after that, I went to video editing and movie editing as a master's degree, just because I was fascinated by title sequences in movies. So I said, maybe I want to do that, but I wasn't sure what that was a thing that you could do. So I went into editing. And after that, I worked for a production company and basically I did everything from camera to editing to then motion design. That was a lot of fun. So I think I discovered there that was a good field to be in, and it was fun to work with.
Awesome. So how about you?
In my case, I didn't know that motion design was something until I finished university. It was by chance that I went to this course of After Effects in my city. And right after that, I got a job in a production company where I also did everything like video editing, a little bit of helping in the camera crew, and also a little bit of motion graphics. And that's how I started. Just after that, I started getting more into it. Like just watching tutorials, and I started to like it more, and that's where I kept working.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm just a little bit older than all of you, and I know when I was coming out of college, this industry was sort of just barely beginning here, and I think it's very common still for people to come from, obviously, design and then start realizing, oh, I can make this stuff move, or they come from filmmaking and realize that Neus, I know you and I were talking the other day a little bit about some people maybe just get tired of only being able to work with what someone else shot, and I really like the idea of being able to like actually have control over everything.
Exactly. You are just someone that like you are given the footage and then you can work with it. But if you are not shooting the footage, you are depending on someone else. So it's cool that in motion and graphics you can do everything from scratch by yourself.
And
yeah,
I
actually feel.
Go ahead.
You actually feel like you're creating something from scratch, or you are putting more of your voice there because you have to put your creativity on there.
Yeah, even if we are working with assets that someone else created or footage or images or whatever, I think like what we do can kind of be very magical to a lot of people who don't understand it. So and let's be honest too, I think this is definitely a career that attracts people who have a certain sort of meticulous personality, and not everyone can sit there and watch the same like 2 seconds of animation 300 times in a row while we fine tune it, right? So okay, we got a couple questions coming in already, but I'm going to kind of stay on this real quick. So one thing I'm really kind of curious to hear about is what the motion design industry or scene, so you can kind of talk about this in business terms or in like the more kind of informal community terms. I'm a little bit curious what this is like where each of you live, and how you think that may kind of have affected I don't know where you ended up here. And I think we can kind of just pitch it to whoever wants it, and we'll just kind of start bouncing around here.
I can start.
Sure.
Okay. Living where I live, Alexandria is not to be considered a small city or anything, but not when it comes to motion graphics. Cairo is another story because it's the capital, so there are a lot more opportunities there, and you can engage with bigger studios, but not in Alexandria. So it can be a little bit tricky to find someone who you really can work with and actually learn something from.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of had the same problem with like you didn't have anyone to learn from. Like I was here in Mallorca, and that's where I worked with a production company. But then I got an opportunity in Barcelona, and Barcelona is completely different. You really have a community there, but then you can get a job in-house in any kind of company, but you don't have that. If you are not in a studio, you don't have that feedback that from someone else that knows more than you. So it's there is some places that you can learn a lot from scratch, but then when you want to climb and then learn new things, it's a bit harder.
Yeah, that's quite relatable. When you're starting, you need to have sort of community, and where I come from in Kochi, there isn't much community, and considering India is pretty huge, so there are a lot of artists just scattered all across the nation, and it's very hard to connect to them. But there are plenty of awesome talents out there, so it's kind of like thank God for the internet. I mean, that's the only way I've been able to reach out.
Yeah.
Well, here in Lima, I can say we don't have a community, but we do have an industry. There are a lot of like animation studios, but also like production studios that makes everything like motion graphics, animation, 2D animation, 3D animation, live action. So that's also where we are. I have a studio where we don't only do like motion graphics, we also do like a lot of corporate videos, documentaries, everything that we can do, we do it because the industry here, I feel that there's like a necessity of doing motion graphics, but it's not like very demanding it. Even right now that we can't shoot video because of COVID, still the animation demand has not increased that much. So I feel that we have an industry, but we don't have a community of motion designers. There is like a community of design, a community of animation, but not specifically for motion design.
I mean,
It's,
honestly, I'd probably say pretty much the same thing about Kansas City. You know, we have a good design community here, and there's a couple of filmmaking groups and stuff like that. But I run a meetup, and it's primarily a video meetup. There's motion designers here, but I think most of them are people who work, you know, in-house at an ad agency, or they're the one motion designer that work at a non-creative company or things like that. And I have a feeling that's the case in a lot of places, kind of no matter where you are. This, I don't know, it's just still sort of a weird profession that a lot of people are even now just still kind of just learning that it even exists. So
yeah, sometimes you really can't explain what actually is your job or what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it's all around us. I mean, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, you know, everybody's got phones now, and obviously TV and the internet. Like you're surrounded by motion design, and yet we still probably all struggle to explain this when our, you know, aunt asks us what we actually do. Yeah, no, it's animation, but not cartoons. And but speaking of which, I am noticing in the chat, which I'm kind of half watching over here, a handful of people with the same last names as some of you. So I think that you have some proud family members watching. So no extra pressure there. So I'm getting a couple questions here about kind of business stuff, and I wanted to talk about some of that anyway. So let's see. Yeah, okay. So this is kind of a good one. Some people are kind of wondering, like, how often you're working with clients that are more local to you or international clients. Some people are specifically asking about, you know, North America or Europe, but I think, you know, kind of however you want to answer about that. Obviously, I know for some of you, just the exchange rate makes it, you know, probably more advantageous to work with international clients, but obviously that comes with, you know, extra hoops to jump through too. So I think anyone who wants to speak to that, you know, go right ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. Actually, I am still I have a full-time job, so I do not rely so much on freelance. But when I do it, it's mostly from local clients, people you get to know through friends. Sometimes, if you want to work with websites like, I'm not sure if I can say their names, some things like Upwork and Fiverr and stuff like that. Yeah, with the exchange rate, yeah, you can work with them. It's not the ideal situation, but sometimes it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here, I'm a freelancer, so starting out, I actually started with the local clients. I got to go and meet them and talk to them what they want and everything. That was kind of a really interesting experience. So you kind of get an idea how to build everything from the ground up when I started freelancing. But after that, you have to move on. So yeah, and like the exchange rates kind of provide a huge advantage. Oh, that's yeah.
I feel in Barcelona. Sorry.
So I just wanted to add the hoop that I always have to jump is the late night meetings that have the time zone problem and all. But other than that, I think like it's kind of really great.
I feel like in Barcelona you have a lot of opportunities, but I haven't had much luck with getting clients as a freelancer. I mean, it's very, very recent, so I haven't reached out to almost like to people that I know, but that's it. And there is a lot of opportunities, but I don't think I have more luck outside. And for now, I work with the US, and the exchange rate is not that big of a deal. So you actually have a decent rate for the work that you do. So I haven't tried Upwork or any other like freelancer platform. There is one here in Europe called Malt, M-A-L-T, but I haven't had much luck either. I think it's French, but yeah, not many projects coming from there.
Well, it's a weird
Yeah.
time too, so who knows? Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
In my case, I have two sources of income. One of them is running my studio. Here at my studio, we almost work only with local clients because it's easier for us to manage local clients and the studio because of the administration and accountability. But as a freelancer, I have worked with the US too. And right now, I've been working with a Colombian studio, which we are working for a Canadian brand, something like that. So in this case, yeah, sometimes the budgets are tend to be higher, but it's also not that much. I think it's also because I don't charge in these cases like a day rate. Because I'm not working like full time for these companies, and I usually charge for the project rate. So for me, it's easier to manage my time that way. But yes, I do know people that only work like full time remote freelancer for the US and get a good income because of the exchange rate.
Yeah, and obviously for you, you don't have any. That you and I are on the same time zone, so that's not an issue. And I think for most people, as long as as long as you can speak English well enough, that it's probably, especially right now. I think I don't know. Those of us that have been working remotely for years probably feel very vindicated right now. And it's the same.
Easier. It's probably easier because here with local clients we have to make a lot of calls and emails like to make the feedback and those things. But when working remote, you just send a Frame.io link and you get all the reviews there. And usually the clients in the US have more experience working with motion design, so they are more straight to the point with changes and all those kind of things.
Cool.
I would say one of the problems I face sometimes when trying to work with an international client is most of the time they don't actually want to pay you as much as they pay a citizen. Yeah.
That's a good point. I bet a lot of people probably assume that they can cheap out and take advantage of people just because they don't live in the US or
even if
don't
you
live
are
in
as good
wherever.
as they are. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the thing that a lot of, people that are newer to the industry need to watch out for that stuff anyway, and not be afraid to advocate for themselves. But obviously I'm just making assumptions here because I do live in the US, but I would imagine that's even harder when you're kind of having to deal with that extra, mountain to climb of maybe perceptions about what your capabilities might be just because you're in a different part of the world. So you brought up day rates a little bit, and I've seen a couple questions about that. I know we didn't necessarily like prepare for this, so if anyone doesn't have an answer, that's fine. But I guess I'm just curious, especially those of you that have done a lot of international work, if you have kind of an idea of what the day rate, locally might be compared to, what it is working internationally. I know from listening to Haley talk about it on Motion Hatch that even in London, which is a big, expensive city, the day rate there is crazy low compared to the US. So it doesn't always necessarily equate to what, people might think.
I would say in Egypt, the gap can be really, really big. Well, it depends on the kind of the project you're working on and the client, of course, if they prefer a good quality with higher price, or are they willing to accept a lower quality as long as they are not paying you much. I think it always depends on the project, and mostly it doesn't work with daily rate as much as the piece or the project itself.
Well, yes, here in Peru, we can compare like the reality of Peru and the US, because here in Peru we are not used to charge by day. So almost all the times I get a request from the client, they ask me for the total amount for the project. So in that case, yeah, it's when I work for outside of my country, I see if it will match like my monthly income I expect to make. So that's the way I charge sometimes. Sometimes I just ask how much do you have for budget.
Yeah.
It's easier for me just to do it. So we don't have to go to have too many rounds of like talking
Yeah.
and negotiation.
Yeah.
In India, I try to give them an option of having a flat rate or a day rate. So I find that that's much better. I mean, most people here choose flat rates because you kind of get, okay, this is what we want and this is how much we can pay for you. And we can negotiate on that. So I find that a lot of people prefer flat rate over day rate here. But in US, they book you for the day. And that's kind of not just US. For most international clients, they want you for a week or for a month, and that's actually more profitable. But I still, negotiations do happen.
Yeah.
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 Definitely. Here in
Yeah.
Spain, what the experience I had, it's actually different because I had actually someone ask me for a hourly rate, someone others daily rate, and then project based. It's completely like I think it depends on the company, how they want to charge and how the finances work in house in their company. That's my experience. And if I actually I got an offer, it was less than 100 euros per day, and I said, okay, let me ask actually, because I had no idea if that was a good rate or a bad rate. And actually I asked actually on Facebook, and yeah, people told me, no, that's very low. That's very low. Don't accept that because it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also hard. Sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. No, it's
Okay.
okay.
For me, it's also hard sometimes when working with the US because I know that sometimes they look for people outside of the US because they can charge less. But also, I don't want to screw the market there. So I want to kind of align to the rates freelancers are making there. But it's still hard. And I don't know how to manage it. I've talked with some people from the US, and they saw my reel, my work, and they know that I should charge like around $500 to $600 per day. But I don't know, like the projects I found and worked with are very far from that budget.
Yeah.
A lot of.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to point out that a lot of studios and senior freelancers actually encourage us to sort of pick up our rates a bit more because you don't want the industry to suddenly just drop and become cheap like that. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to go into something exactly like that, so I'm glad that you brought it up. I've worked a couple times with folks from other countries, and try to do the same because it's tricky. I know that like people everywhere are kind of just trying to make their way, but whether you're in a place where the exchange rate isn't in your favor, or you're just new, no matter where you are, it can be really tempting to lowball everything and say that you can do all this stuff for super cheap, but not only are you hurting yourself and letting yourself be taken advantage of, but you do then start having these long-term impacts on what everyone can charge. So that it's a great thing, like, and all of us everywhere, if you find out that someone is way undercharging, let them know. Neus, you were saying how you just got online, you were like, hey, is this a good rate? And people are like, no. I'm so glad that stuff exists now. You've got all these great community resources, and we're going to be talking about those a whole bunch in just a minute here. I think it's so much easier for people to ask those kind of questions today, and I'm glad that it feels like our industry in general is pretty open about that kind of stuff. Talking numbers is a little bit weird sometimes when you are having like international discussions, because it doesn't always translate directly. But yeah, I'm just glad that people are open about that. I want to encourage everyone watching to, if you are working with someone who's charging half what you are and they're as good as you, encourage them to raise their rate. It's good for everyone to be doing that. Okay, I know. Okay, so here's a question that I really like. So 3 of you are freelancers, but I know a couple of you have experience, like doing motion design as in a full-time position as well. So this question said, "Is freelancing the only option as a motion designer?" I have opinions, but I want to hear from each of you.
No, I wouldn't say that. Freelancing is not the only option. Studios, I think when you get to work in a studio, you have colleagues that you can learn from, and that's something that's how I started out. I had some great colleagues, and I learned from both of them, and it was really great to something they just point out, oh hey, you're doing something wrong over here, you got to fix this. That's something that you suddenly learn, and so when you're freelancing, you kind of remember that, okay, this is something that I can do, this what we did then. And so yeah, working in a studio is really good. I would really encourage anyone, like, even if you're thinking of going into freelance, work on a studio, gain some experience there.
But I would say, I was lucky enough to start my career as a full-timer. I got to experience things I would have known about if I started as a freelancer. But I would say it has its pros and cons. You can get sometimes really stuck, and you don't have a lot of freedom to say no if there is a project that makes you want to kill yourself, but you have to do it because you are getting paid for it. Yeah. So these days, I would say that freelancers is a bit more freedom.
Definitely. But I think you still can have, even if it's not in a studio or in an ad agency, which is already like a creative environment. Like I had to, like, if you research for startups or other companies that actually tech companies, they are open to motion designers. And even if you are not a motion designer and you say you are a graphic designer, let's say, or even a video editor, that's how I started. I said, okay, I can offer also this motion design. If you are interested, would you help me to create this project and so on? And they are actually open to it. So even if you are not actually a motion designer, but you are working as a graphic designer, UX, UI designer, if you are getting into motion, I think a lot of companies are open to the field if you show them what you can do.
Yes, I also see, like, here the main, like, places where you can work as a motion designer is like in studios or agencies, but there's also this trend of like big brands or corporate brands like opening their marketing or inside the studios, where they are hiring more creatives there. So maybe it's an opportunity that you can like try.
So I saw an interesting question come in that I'd like to touch on before we kind of move away from business stuff. Are there any maybe interesting niche markets in your area that I don't know, might be more prevalent or might be a source of a lot of work maybe?
I'm not sure I'm following the question. Can you repeat?
Well, I guess I was just curious if there are any, or this person was just curious, are there any like specific industries that more in your country or your area that could be a big source of work for people like us, like technology or education or health or anything like that?
IT.
No,
Yeah, you have a software firm. They really, even if it's a startup, they have some new features or they're bringing out a new software. They'll reach out to you, or you can reach out to them, and it really, that's a huge niche on itself.
Definitely. I think any company that can't show actually what they are doing. So if it's a product or a website it's a concept. It's not like I can show you here. This is the pen that we sell. No, it's something like more abstract.
Yeah.
You can show it with motion design, and I think that's a great value for them.
I would say here. Okay, so go ahead.
You go ahead, Menna. Your turn.
I would say most of them are people working in digital marketing, and they want you to create some posts or animation for their social media posts. Yeah, most of it is.
Yeah, there's like a lot of demand in social media, but also right now because of COVID, also I see an increasing demand in educational videos for the Ministry of Education, because now kids are having their classes in TV. So there's increasing demand there for animated videos, but I don't know where these projects are landing, because we have received a lot of requests, but not replies yet. But also in this kind of projects, they ask for a lot of quantity but low quality too.
Yeah, they just need them. They don't necessarily need them to be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, all of your answers sound very much like the kinds of things that I've been doing for 10 years too. So, people need stuff, and they need it to be as interesting as possible, even if the thing itself is not very interesting.
And they need it really fast.
And they need it yesterday and super cheap. Okay, so I would love to talk about the motion design community in general, because it's something that I'm personally really passionate about. And obviously, we're here on the School of Motion channel, so we're going to be talking about it in that context some. But also, there are a lot of great online communities. And part of the reason that I picked each of you is because I had noticed that you were all participating in these in different ways, whether that is, being very present in the motion design Slack, or being very active on, various channels, live streams, and like participating a ton in that conversation, or getting super active on the alumni page and answering a bunch of people's questions and offering critiques, or getting on there and asking, about other freelancers in your area, and trying to, start things up. So I have a couple more directed questions, but I don't know if anyone wants to kind of just jump in and like speak to any of that, or what the availability of this online community has kind of done for you.
Shall I go?
Yeah. Have at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, India. I come from India, and it's a huge nation, and we have we already have 22 officially recognized languages, and that we have completely different cultures mixed together. So reaching out to them is has been very difficult at first, but I've been part of School of Motion and Motion Hatch and a couple of other communities. So we, a couple of friends here, motion designers, we decided to start something to sort of provide some sort of a community. We don't have much for motion designers. We have for designers, graphic designers and UX UI designers, but we don't have much for motion designers. So that's what we were trying to do last year. And we were actually trying to put up meetings and meetups and all, but obviously that did not work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we connect over the internet and WhatsApp groups and everything, and it's still alive. That community is still alive, so that is really great, and that's how we sort of help each other out with tutorials or whatever.
For me, it was the alumni group. It was very beneficial, not only when it comes to technical issues or asking questions about a problem with my expressions or anything, but also in the pricing issue we were talking about. You get to ask questions and have insights if you are working with an international clients about rates and something like this. Yeah, I think it was very helpful in a lot of ways.
Definitely. My case too, the alumni group, actually, I jumped into the opportunity because there was an event happening in Barcelona, and I jumped into the opportunity to say, hey, who is going? And there is a lot of, that made me realize that there is a lot of people here, more than you can actually think there is. and you can create a really good group. If you actually meet in person, that would be ideal, but I'm sure you can have either a group on Facebook or on WhatsApp and you can get connected anyway. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I love the online community. I'm on the motion design Slack, on the alumni group, some other groups from Brazil too, because Brazil has a huge community too. So I've went to Brazil 3 times to network people, and I've made very good friends because of online community. Also, like because of motion design Slack, I went to NAP show last year and met you and more people too. Uh, and yeah, I don't know, like because we don't have like a formed community here in Lima. I prefer to stay online where I can talk with a lot of friends from everywhere in the world and just solve questions or also help people and everything. It's just nice to talk to people that work on the same field as you and has all the same questions about everything. It's not only work; it's also like life and management of your time. And I don't know. It's amazing to relate to people from everywhere and to know that they have the same feelings as you.
Yeah, especially so many of us, I think no matter where we are, I was kind of saying earlier, I think there's a lot of people who do motion design as a career who may end up very isolated because they might be working in a company with 1,000 people, but they're the only one who does this thing, and they might not have anyone else there to really talk to. There might be like someone that makes websites or something that kind of knows but not quite. And I think because we're still in sort of a, I don't know, kind of a unique career, being able to get online and connect to those other people. And, we will get to a point where we can hang out in person again, hopefully sometime soon. Yes. And having those connections already when you do go to those is really pretty powerful. And, kind of to your point a minute ago, it's actually really easy when something a couple years ago, Adobe Max was coming up and I was going to be going to that. So I just put something on the School of Motion page like, hey, who's going? And then Sharon and I put together a meetup, just in, an informal thing, but it became kind of the semi-official School of Motion alumni meetup at Adobe Max. And we had like 50 people show up and it was awesome. And the After Effects team came and hung out with us for a while. Like sometimes it's really easy to, I don't know, overlook how, I don't know, maybe all you have to do is just ask a question like that and you can start the ball rolling. And you may end up with, people that become your really good friends, people that you work with all the time.
I would say that I feel envious right now.
With the community, the forming of a community is really great. I mean, but like I said, I met some great people in School of Motion, and we have formed our own community, small private chats, helping each other out. And even with business, I mean, we had some I had some problem with legal contract stuff and all, and those guys were giving, okay, this is what you do, we have to do this, and it was it's really helpful when you're part of a community.
Yes.
So just for anyone who's not familiar with some of the groups that we've been talking about, I just want to kind of quickly go through. So Motion Hatch is
it's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. So Haley is super awesome. I love Haley. She does a podcast talking specifically about the business of motion design. And she's based in the UK, but she does try to kind of speak fairly internationally as much as like is reasonable. So that's a great one to join up. And we'll be dropping these in the chat. The big motion design Slack is open to anyone. You do have to have a reel to join, but it can be kind of big and overwhelming, but it's a great place for technical questions, business questions, anything like that. A lot of the product teams from Adobe and Maxon and Cavalry and other plugin developers are all on there. So it's a great place for that kind of stuff. Vishal, if I remember correctly, you have been doing Monday Meeting a lot. Is that right?
Yeah.
Monday Meeting meets every Monday, and they have it's kind of an open discussion. It's a guided open discussion with a different topic every time. But you should definitely check those out. It's been a little bit since I had a chance to do one, but especially if you are, kind of isolated, like a lot of us probably tend to be, especially if you work from home, it's an opportunity to just connect with other motion designers like this and, talk about issues that are relevant to us. Panimation is a great group for women and non-binary trans folks, and they have a great directory, so you can actually search people all over the world that might be in your area for people to work with or people to meet up with or anything like that. Anything else that you feel like I'm missing from any of those?
Like international, I don't know. Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
I've seen some more isolated groups for the French community or Ukramedia also, like they are more international.
Yeah.
Those are the
And
ones I
we were
remember.
talking about Domestica, I think, yesterday.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I wasn't as familiar with them having a community, but it sounds like that's kind of a piece of it too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, right now, like these platforms as Las Domestica or Skillshare also like have these social features where you can post work too. So maybe it's a place where you can meet people too. I haven't tried.
Mm-hmm. I think really anywhere that you can meet other people who are excited to talk about After Effects stuff is probably probably good, right?
I think that's to be.
So obviously, like I said, we're here on the School of Motion channel, so we should probably talk about School of Motion a little bit. I know each of you has taken at least a couple classes. Some of you have taken several of them. I don't know. Do you just have any thoughts about kind of? I know we said a couple of these already, but about specifically the community that exists around School of Motion, and or kind of what those courses have done for you that maybe doesn't exist locally.
Well, I would say the reason I decided to join School of Motion, I've been following the free tutorials on YouTube for a long time, but I decided to join I would say the private part of it. I felt really stuck doing a full-time job for a very long time. It can be a little bit crippling, so I needed to get inspired again, and I thought it would be a good idea to go back to the basics, even if I've been working in the industry for quite some time, but I thought it would be a good idea to go back to the basics, and I decided to join School of Motion. I started with animation bootcamp, and then character animation bootcamp. So the idea I had in my head when I joined character animation bootcamp is I did a lot of character animation, but it always fell off and mechanical. And if you want to go more on the freelance side of the business, I would say you need to know this so you would be able to handle a complete project from the beginning till the end. So this is why I decided to take it on.
Cool.
Yeah, for me, like taking School of Motion courses changed a little bit or a lot my perspective of this field and the things we could do. At the time I took the first one, it was Character Animation Bootcamp. I felt stuck on my career. I didn't know what else I could do with my talent or skills in the software. So watching the videos, but also like hearing the podcast inside the courses and hearing the experiences of other people I have never heard about opened my mind a lot. Also, like being part of a community of School of Motion helped me a lot to know that it's a very long path. It's not easy. You have to spend a lot of time and invest in yourself to learn, right? Because it's not easy. And after that, I took a lot of different courses like design bootcamp, illustration for motion, rigging academy. I don't know what it is. Also like animation bootcamp too. I took plenty of courses there.
Yeah. I think you have the trophy for the most out of this group.
Maybe. Because I have a lot of fun like taking these courses. It helps me like I don't know, like to get out of my comfort zone and push myself and do different things. Not only the things I'm working on, just trying new things and watching also work from different people helps me a lot to push myself, uh, to put myself a higher bar.
Yeah.
That's it.
It
The
can be
freelance.
really intense, I think. Go ahead, Vishal.
No, but I got into School of Motion through the freelance manifesto. Actually, I had started in 2016 freelancing, and I was one of those people who was terrified of sending an email to a studio. So that was something that helped me a lot. So I thought, okay, maybe I should check out School of Motion, and I saw that back then Semaphore Basecamp had just started. It was the first class, so I was one of the first students there. So it was kind of amazing. EJ's classes were really fun. And then, yeah, that's how I got into the community. And yeah, I think the best part is the community itself. We have the alumni group, and that's pretty great.
I'm inclined to agree. Like as someone who I was aware of School of Motion. I had watched a handful of the stuff a couple years ago. I met Joey at a conference, and then I took design boot camp as a student, and then I TA'd several different courses, and obviously now I'm here as part of the team. But you know, being able to connect to other people in the class groups or in the alumni group is just, it's really cool. And one of the things that I really like is the ability to hop on there and, you know, be honest with other people about their work or their questions, and being able to critique other people's projects. Even if you're kind of just doing it informally, because obviously the TAs are there to officially do that. But one of the things I found from working through those is, like, if you, obviously it's a lot to like take the course and do the work and try to critique other people's work too, but you start seeing stuff when you do that. You figure out constructive ways to give people feedback, and then you start seeing all that stuff in your own work too, and it becomes really powerful really quickly. Even just over the course of, a handful of weeks, like most of these courses are, you start realizing, like, oh wow, all that stuff that, like, I've kind of been wondering why my projects just never quite clicked, and then you go, oh well, it's because of XYZ that I just learned about, but also now I've been pointing it out because I'm seeing it in everyone else's work, and now I'm super embarrassed about how often I used to do all of that myself.
I also like to see like how many approaches you can have for just a single brief. Like in the design
Absolutely.
bootcamp or illustration bootcamp, you can see so different kind of styles and everything that it amazes you, like to see how much power you have in your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, one of the very important things in this community is finding people who actually talk about things like imposter syndrome, which is something we all, I think, go through at some stage of our careers. Yeah.
I like how you talk about it like it's a past tense thing.
Keeps happening.
Yeah, it never goes away. Most of the like high profile names will talk about it too, whether publicly or not. But it's here for all of us. I think it's probably just part of the personality type that gets into this sort of thing, maybe. But so here's an interesting question that maybe isn't a good way to sort of start wrapping things up, because we're only like 5 minutes away from being done with this already.
No,
It just flies by, right? So
yes.
someone wrote in here that they left trying to learn motion design because absolutely no one understood what they did, and that's tough. So how do you stay motivated to be learning things or keep working in this, or especially, like, we've been talking a lot about how sometimes it can be easy to get sort of isolated doing what we do. So I don't know, any thoughts or advice for that person?
I would say always try to surround yourself by the right people, because I did go through a phase where I really wanted to quit. But it helps when you find someone that understands what you're going through and you can talk to them, which it is one of the things that we are doing in the alumni group.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah. Also, like, don't feel like you're competing with everybody. You have to like to understand that everyone has their own path, and you have to make it by yourself also, and don't compare your work. Just create. Try to do something, and the next time will be better, and will be better, and the next time, and that cycle will repeat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think by the end of the day, it's art, and it's about
Yeah.
expressing yourself. Art is about expressing
Yeah.
ourselves. So that's what we should focus on.
Yeah. It's art, but that someone else pays us to do sometimes, and sometimes that's communicating about boring things.
Yeah.
But I love that it gives us the ability to also, we have these skills like Vishal. I'm remembering a personal project that you have up on your site that
Yeah.
we also have the ability to make these really beautiful little personal projects and stuff that are exactly art for art's sake. So it's a really cool skill set that we've cultivated here that allows us to help communicate ideas, whatever those might be, in really cool ways that make people actually want to pay attention to them. So kind of a superpower, I think.
I think nobody can be motivated like 24/7. It's okay to be
Yeah.
to feel a little bit down sometimes. Yeah.
Exactly. Definitely take a break. And,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, occasionally it's a really good idea to do some things that don't involve staring at your screen. Obviously, that's it's a little trickier right now, but if you can get out and do, maybe if you do have all those creative juices that need to get out, try doing some other kind of art that doesn't involve your computer, or get out and climb a mountain or whatever it is that does it for you. But there's a lot of ways to stay inspired as well. But so the way you said it was really great. I've been trying to say things like that too for a couple years when I was TAing to students who'd get discouraged at the beginning. Like, we're all coming from different starting points, and we probably don't all have the same destination. So, it's very easy to scroll through Instagram and see all these people that are 15 years younger than you that are doing stuff that's way better than you're ever going to do. But that's not the point. Like,
No.
don't compare yourself to them, and don't get stuck in that trap of like, just sort of always feeling
just
like
enjoy
you're
what
behind.
you're doing.
Yeah.
And definitely don't compare yourself to Sander Van Dyke, for example.
Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any other good questions that I want to get to before I wrap this up. So I got a question here about wondering if there is any motion design community or group for India. So Vishal, I know you said you guys didn't quite get to launch because of unfortunately the COVID timing kind of shut you down, but do you have anything for that you want to refer people to so that when you do get stuff up and running?
Yeah, so a few freelancers and few motion designers here in Kochi actually, and a few of us are in the process of starting an online community for India. I don't know if there are other online communities because I have been searching for a while and I haven't gotten into it. So we haven't gotten a website up yet, but there is we are in the process. So if you really feel like you want to get into it, you can drop a message in my Instagram or email me or and in my website or whatever. But this is entirely to help other motion designers in our country to have a community and help each other out and everything. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's it.
We right now it's called F9 Collective, but we haven't really. It's F9 Collective for now. We haven't really created the website yet. So yeah.
I really like that.
Of the ECs.
Yeah.
No,
because it's been so easy to get it started, right?
I mean, I think that's the one key that we keep hitting every time.
Yeah. I really like that initiative, and I think that's a great thing to, you know, and it's easier said than done, obviously. But if you are somewhere, wherever that is, in the whole world, if you are feeling like you want to connect to other people, you can be the one to start that thing. Obviously, it's hard, and you know they're not all going to be successful. You may have other unforeseen complications that may put it on the back burner for a little while, but you can be the one that starts reaching out to other people and starts creating something yourself too. So I think I'm going to modify one question here, and this will kind of be the thing that wraps us up. Do you have some advice for someone who's maybe currently in school or new to the industry or something like that? Or maybe some advice for yourself a couple years ago?
Communicate, join communities as much as you can.
Definitely ask questions, because there is a lot of people that already has like some time doing this, so they probably have answers. So yeah, ask. If you don't know something, you will find the answer asking someone else for sure.
Yeah, of course, reaching people helped me a lot since I started reaching people. I would recommend that too, because in this community, like, we are very open to help, and probably that way you will have your path more clear. Or yeah, very helpful to reach people.
I would say try to find something that you really like and enjoy, because the industry can be about lots of things. My experience was that I kept jumping from 3D to doing lots of keying and rotoscoping and sometimes VFX for motion. So try to find something that you really enjoy and try to get really good at it.
I would also like to add that don't focus only on work, just for work. Try to do something creative just for you. That way you will also improve your skills.
Awesome. I think that's those are all really well said and great advice. Okay, a couple things before we wrap up. Again, this is a School of Motion channel, so I need to remind people about School of Motion. Our next session actually begins on Monday. So if you have been eyeing a course and are thinking about getting into this stuff, you have only a couple days to do that before the session. So get on that. I do have a couple more cool live streams coming up soon, but I'm actually not ready to announce any of them, but I'm really excited about some of these. So stay tuned for those. I wanted to take a minute and just thank each of you so much again for joining me. Again, I know it's kind of late for some of you, so especially thanks for that. But thanks for, you know, getting over your nerves and putting yourselves out there like this. I really appreciate each of you kind of sharing your stories with us. And yeah, I hope each of you get like 100 Instagram followers today. And I know we've been putting your websites and your all your handles out there. And you guys should come back and read this chat, because you all have a lot of happy emojis for each of you, and a lot of really nice stuff being said in here. So, all right.
I hope we didn't bore anyone today.
What's that?
I hope we didn't bore anyone today.
I don't think so. I think this was really great. I think you all had really great stuff to say, really insightful things. And it's nice when you just, you know, each of you is getting to talk about your own experiences, and you kind of start realizing that it's a weird experience when you kind of start realizing, oh, I guess I do kind of know what I'm talking about. Even if you don't, even if it takes you a while to kind of start believing that for yourself. But okay, well, I'm going to wrap this up, and we can all say goodbye now, and then we'll do the thing and it'll be over, and I'm sad. But yeah, this was really awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks
to all of you for watching. So, bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.